DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hi, I'm Patty Skilkin. I'm president of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton Area. And today I'm talking with two candidates who would both like to have the job as Huber Heights Council Ward 6 representative. They are Ed Lyons and Richard Stan. We're going to start out by giving each candidate 2 minutes to speak to you, the voters, and tell you a little bit about themselves. Ed, we're going to start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, Patty. I'd like to first thank League of Women Voters as well as DATV for this opportunity to speak in front of everyone tonight. My name is Ed Lyons. I am the current City Council representative from Ward 6 in Huber Heights. I am seeking a second term in Ward 6 as your represented council, and I would like to talk a little bit about some of the progressive activities we have in the city, but my background is very simple. I am a professional educator. I'm in the 21st year in the classroom. I teach 7th grade world history, so you know I love a challenge. And as I'm working towards my city council representative, I've been out and talking and walking and discussing major issues, minor issues, just issues of any general sort to everyone who would talk, listen, knock on the doors, return phone calls. And as I'm taking those issues and discussing, I'm just sitting there listening and wanting to be your representative for a second term. Some of my best attributes are my family. My wife and I have lived in Huber Heights for the last 17 years, and we have 3 wonderful kids that we're raising, and it's a wonderful place, and we'd like to see that continue.
Thank you. Richard, your turn. 2 minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you again for the opportunity to speak before you this morning. Much appreciated. I've been a quiet, hardworking resident of Huber Heights since 1965. Graduate of Wayne High School. I saw Huber Heights become a city in 1981 with great pride. I've watched the population grow to about 38,000 people. I have a great background in how the community has developed. I've got a great frame of reference. When I moved first to Huber Heights was just as small as, if not smaller than, some of our surrounding communities. So I appreciate that perspective, and I've learned a lot. I've been married for 36 years, and I don't give my wife as much credit as I should. I would not be here today without my wife's support. I have Labrador Retrievers as part of my family. I've been part of my family for about 25 years now. I think it adds something to your life, and I think whenever we have the opportunity to do something that adds to our life, we should take advantage of that. I'm not a politician, so the obvious question is, what do I bring to the table? I have accumulated over 20 years of financial experience in planning and analysis and systems and reporting, and I've worked on financial contracts. I've also served as 15 years as a financial systems consultant for companies large and small across the country. There does appear to be a shortage in financial expertise in City Council, and I believe that's a gap which I can capably fill. I am standing up and speaking up to do what is right for the people of Huber Heights, and I want to see us once again regain that level of pride that we had as a city in 1981. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard, I'm going to stick with you for our first question. What do you think is the most significant issue, the hot button item in Ward 6 as we speak?
Well, I think it also goes beyond Ward 6. Business development has been something that we've been struggling with now for many years, dating back to the Bench Rock project over 10 years ago. Ward 6 just happens to be that area where some of this activity is taking place. We are trying to grow the tax base. Growing the tax base is the only way that we can really manage the tax burden that we place upon the voters in our community. And I want us to be successful going forward with that development.
Thank you so much. Ed, same question.
Well, thank you. The tax base and the question that you're talking about, the issue that's facing Ward 6 the most is very similar to what's facing Huber Heights, and that is the development. Where I disagree with my opponent candidate is that we're doing a very good job. I think we have outstanding opportunities right in Ward 6 alone. We just redeveloped the old Big Lots parking shopping center, and that was done through private company, U-Haul, and they've done a terrific job. Our staff and city's been working with U-Haul, and that developed a blighted area, and it was a major area in Ward 6, so couldn't be more happy with that. The major economic development that we're looking at is the Heights development. And we had developed a Rose Music Center that just finished its first season, and I'm looking forward to seeing the exact numbers, but I would anticipate that those numbers come in the positive range for making money. But the beauty about that is, even before the Rose Music Center started its first season this year, we had TJ Chumps open up a restaurant right next door. And that was definitely the spurring of the development. We just had recently, within the last, say about a month, major economic news. Our developer in the Heights had announced a $100 to $150 million development that's getting ready to come to Huber Heights, and I think that is just an absolute and wonderful opportunity for us. So we are definitely moving in the right direction. I think the Rose Music Center has definitely spearheaded that initiative, and it's going to be developed sooner as opposed to later.
Thank you, Ed. I'm going to stick with you for the next question. There's a lot of talk about merging counties and cities and people mushing themselves together. Do you think Huber Heights can benefit from any type of merger?
At this time, with a merger between the county and the city of Dayton that's being discussed, it doesn't take very long to get an idea that eventually the suburbs will be included in some future. And right now, I haven't seen enough information, haven't seen enough data to make me believe that this would be a good idea for us at this time. We're looking at making some major changes in our local governments dealing with the county and the cities. And without that kind of information, I think we might be dealing a little bit more with a reckless plan than anything else. There's been a lot of decisions, a lot of discussion, but not much has taken place in the actual communities. Several different groups have spoken out. There hasn't been very good communication. I don't think that's a really good first step when you launch a major initiative. So at this time, I have to say, no, I can't support that.
Thank you. How do you feel about that, Richard?
Well, I think that we can define a merger in one of two ways. One way would be a physical merger where the government does consolidate. But I think there's another more important merger that we need to think and talk about. And that is a merger of people and ideas. Our greatest resource as a community, any community's greatest resource, is the people. And it is the people that give us the benefit of their thoughts and their inputs that help us to create actionable plans going forward that help us to grow those communities. So I am, in fact, a supporter of working with our neighboring communities, at least unofficially, in as much as I believe they can give us ideas and insights which we may not have seen at this particular point in time. We are living in a new economic world. That has been the case since roughly 2000. We have been facing challenges that our parents and our parents' parents have not seen. And I think that it is our responsibility to think outside of the box, to think creatively, and to reach out to people, whether they're in our community or not, for ideas to help us to have a better tomorrow.
Thank you. Let me ask you, if you're elected, what would your pet project be? What would be your passion project for Huber Heights?
My passion project is to listen to the voice of the people. Thomas Jefferson, and I'm not a history teacher, but I'll try and get this right, says that the will of the people is the legitimate and the only legitimate foundation of government in this country. So I'm going to turn to the people in Ward 6 and to the people, Heber Heights at large, for their thoughts and ideas as to what it is that we should be doing. I think that we've been navigating our ship without the benefit of the input from the residents of our community. And again, we've got 38,000 people in Heber Heights. If we can tap into just 1% of those people, the ideas, the passion that we could unleash would be immeasurable.
Thank you. Ed, same thing. What's your passion project? What would be your pet project?
Well, my pet project would be the continuation of the reutilization program that we had just started in Heber back in January of 2014. And with the establishment of that reutilization program, it helps spur our economic development of all things in Heber Heights. The reutilization plan was a cooperative plan set by the county and the city of Heber Heights working in a manner, brought this to City Council. We had several meetings over it, went through the administration committee, and the plan was passed. Well, I was very proud to have spearheaded that initiative. And with that initiative, we have done some wonderful things. First of all, the last estimate that I had was that we had reutilized and gone through the process several homes through foreclosure, and those homes ended up paying their back taxes. And that brought in a revenue of $97,000 to the city. Now, most of that, 60 cents on the dollar, goes directly to the schools, and those were taxes that they were not receiving prior to that. So I'm very proud of that. But with the reutilization program, we just today in the Dayton Daily newspaper, October 1st, reported that the city just acquired 80 acres of prime real estate. And those 80 acres are just right there next to Gander Mountain on I-70. And that is now 80 acres that the city will have. Cost us less than $15,000. And we're looking at well over $300,000 worth of property, and the revenue that we can generate will be in the millions. So when asked Patty what my passion would be, to continue the economic development of the Heights in the city and to make sure that reutilization program really continues the great response and the great productivity that we have.
Thank you. We'll stick with you, Ed, for the next question. What would be the elements of your plan to spur economic growth in Heber Heights?
Well, we just got done talking about the reutilization program. So with that economic development, it's not necessarily what I would do, it's what we continue to do on council. We have a terrific progressive council that really thinks forward. And with the Rose Music Center finishing its first season, we have the TJ Chumps development, we have the Heights, and now we have that 80 acres that's right next to Gander Mountain for development. We are primed and ready for the next 10, 20, 30 years in Heber Heights. If we have a beginning, a middle, and an end in Heber Heights, I believe right now you would be seeing somewhere towards the beginning of our golden age in Heber Heights. It's really a fantastic, exciting time that we're looking forward to continuing. We did a CS&L study for the Rose Music Center, and it came back prior to the building that we would it was estimated that we would lose money in the first 3 years, as was expected. Well, council didn't exactly expect that, but we did pay attention to the study, and we're going to be announcing those specific numbers. But I got to tell you, everything in my heart tells me that we're going to be not only in the black, but have made money in our very first year. So we're 3 years ahead of schedule with the CS&L study. And as we take that into the development phase, expanding our tax base, we're getting that done. And I'd really like to see that continue, Patty.
Thank you. Richard, how about that? Elements for economic growth. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I have an action plan, and that action plan has several elements underlying it. Number one is that I want to lead an effort to develop a plan to have dedicated business development resources within the city. That's something we've just not done a good job on. If you talk to some of the folks in the city, which I have, They wear multiple caps. Business development is just too important for us to do this on an ad hoc or a part-time business. We are investing tens of millions of dollars in business-related activities within the city of Huber Heights. If you look at the assets of the community, almost 40% of the assets are in, quote, business-related activities. If we're going to be investing that kind of money, we need to seriously also think about the processes and the procedures that we're using to review and justify projects and development efforts that are going on or plan to go on. We need to be able to guarantee that there is a net return to the citizens of Huber Heights for the money that is invested by the city. We need to be able to definitively determine that, in fact, the tax base is growing. And we know that, quite frankly, that's not happening, because if the tax base were growing, we wouldn't have had in the last couple of years an increase in the income tax or an increase in a levy for fire and police. So we need to shed more light on what's going on financially. We need to plug the gap in financial expertise in City Council.
Thank you. Richard, you're going to get your last 2 minutes now to talk to the voters, to plead your case, and make a closing statement.
Thank you, Patty. I'm not a politician. If you'd asked me 5 years ago if I was going to be a politician, I think my response would have been nuts. So people have asked me, and my wife has asked me, why are you doing this? Because you don't own a lot of land in Huber Heights. You don't run a lot of businesses in Huber Heights. You don't have a lot of business relationships in Huber Heights. So what do you get out of this? And the answer actually is quite simple. I'm in this to give back to the people and to the city of Huber Heights. My father was a Marine. His father was a Marine. And they were people of working means, but their philosophy was that at some point in our lives, each one of us will be presented with an opportunity to step up and do what is right for people. And this is my time, my opportunity to step up and do what is right for the people of Huber Heights going forward. I do this for the people of Huber Heights. I do not do this for myself. I have no personal ambitions. I want to make sure that as we go forward, we are planning appropriately. We are looking not through rose-colored glasses. We are sharing the good, the bad, as we go about doing our business. We need to have true transparency within the city of Huber Heights, which means we share the good and the bad.
Thank you. Ed, 2 minutes to make a closing statement and talk to the voters.
Well, thank you, Patty, for having us here tonight or today. It's a wonderful opportunity to get to speak to you and the League of Women Voters and to all of the citizens in Huber Heights. The issue of which direction we are going, I think, is very evident in our city election this year. You have one candidate that is looking at progressive activities moving forward, and another is looking at more of issues and problems that are, in some respects, flat out made up. One of the questions that's been posed, statements that's been made, is a lack of fiscal expertise. Just look at our record in Huber Heights. My 4 years, we've balanced the budget every single year in the city. We just got off the Great Recession, largest drop economically since the Great Depression. And not only did we survive without cuts to public service, but we did improve. We did pass the 2013 or the issue 13 levy this year, and that solidified our 2025 plan that's going to financially put us in the black and make us a dynamic city in the next 10 years. Now, with that, financially, is our greatest award. Just yesterday, the state auditor announced that for the second continuous year, our budget director, Jim Bell, has gotten an award It's the gold standard award with distinction that only goes to the top 5% of the communities in the entire state of Ohio. You talk about transparency, we have opengov.org. That puts our checkbook on our website. And then you add to that transparency the outstanding responses that we have from our staff and our elected officials. It's a great time to be in Huber Heights. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank both candidates for being here with us today. We've been talking to the candidates for Huber Heights Council, Ward 6. I want to remind all the voters, get out there and vote November 3rd. Do not forget, it is your right, it is your privilege, and it is your duty. If you need help in finding your polling place or determining what ID you need, call the league office. We have all the answers all the time. Our number is 228-4041. Also be watching, I believe, the week of October 5th. We'll be beginning to distribute our world-famous Voters Guide, which will be published in English and in Spanish. It'll be in libraries and about a bazillion other locations. If you can't find one, call us. We'll make sure you get one. Again, 228-4041. And if you want to check us out on our website, it's lwvdayton.org. And thank you for being with us.